But Dad, isn't it time for illegal ham in the face? But bro, where's the banjo?
Some Cleveland sports shows try to give you hot takes, but only one can give you a big old piece of hot ham. Welcome to Illegal Ham to the Face. Talking all Cleveland sports. And don't forget our Fat Boy Tuesday, where we also ham it up with some fun food topics. Without further ado, let's serve up some ham. Here are the Ham Boys. Fatty, Big Bri, and my cousin Vinny.
It is Tuesday, November 29th, and of course, it's another episode of Illegal Ham to the Face. I am that fat guy. He is Big Bri, and welcome to the show. Today, Bri, we're getting into a Browns victory Tuesday. Did not see that one coming. Also, kudos to Big Blue for going out and whooping that ass against Ohio State.
Thank you.
I can even admit it. It was a wonderful, wonderful time there. We are going to be getting in here later. We're talking about the Browns versus Tampa and the overtime win. We will be talking a little bit of Cavaliers in our Cleveland headlines. We will be talking about quarterback number 1 underneath center this week against Houston. He is back. We'll see what happens. There's some other scurvy stuff behind the scenes on that one that we're going to hit in the headlines. And then we are going to get into a Fat Boy Tuesday, which we are going to do a Tater draft, Bri.
Okay.
All Taters, we're drafting them. We're going to do a Tater draft. And then we're going to do right now, because it's winter time, not much else going on. We're going to do our top 3 shows that we're kind of into right now, TV shows we're into. So on that note, we're going to do our show is brought to you by Harold Keel in Lake Erie, APA. I got to see Harold on Sunday. He is doing great. He's out of the shiny. We got to get into our fantasy football update. If you want to do that now, Bri, you want to do it real quick right now?
Let's do it now so we don't forget at the end of the show.
Well, I lost, and I'm surprised we're doing it now. Of all things, I lost to Craig, which was just not good. But let's see here. My team. Let's go to matchup. Okay, so I lost to Craig Foster 103-98. Fat happy endings. Took a back seat. Well, I needed Aaron Rodgers to do something, and he kind of stuffed me. And
hurt. Yeah.
Not good on that one. You have the Portage County Prostitutes beating the Lyman Lounge 122-90. You have Team Giggles beating Team Big Rod 125-124. What a barn burner that one was.
Wow.
All right, you got Team Wonder Years beating Baldy Locks 146-114. You have Team Span at 150 beating the Juice 105. And then you have Team Big Meat beating up on Big Bri 130-113. And then you have the Fantasy Football Team 143 and Harold Keel at 114. Our standings as they go. Big Man is in the lead with 11-1 record. 11-1 record. All right, followed by Wonder Years at 8-4 and Portage County Prostitutes getting up there at 8-4. You have Team Span and Craig Foster at 7-5. At 6-6, you have Team Big Rod and the Juice. At 5-7, you have Giggles, Harold Keel, Lyman Lounge, Fat Happy Endings, Team Big Meat, and bringing up the rear end of the Legal Ham to the Face Football League, you have Baldy Locks and Big Bri at 3-9. Not a good year for you.
I got my quarterback coming back this week, though.
Well,
Let's see if he helps.
I doubt it.
Not this week, I don't think.
Not this week. I doubt it. So, you got any shout outs for this week there, big fella?
Shoot. I think I did. Let me just shout out my family. I saw about 80%, 80 to 90% of my family this past weekend, aunts, uncles, cousins. So great to see all of them. A couple of them listen from time to time. So love y'all. Great to see you. And as usual, ate and drank too much. So it was a good weekend.
Yeah, yep. Same with me. I kind of just stayed at home. I had my little brother Patty Pat come up and visit me. So it was kind of nice to see him on Friday. Took him out to the club and showed him all the destruction that we did. Thank you, Justin. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving too. Well, he said, I believe I called the Browns beating Tampa Bay, and I stayed up just to hear Bri gloat. Well, you're going to hear a little bit. Also, I got to do a special shout out. This Saturday, Cleveland Lineman Lounge podcast reached out to me. They were doing their 100th episode, and they asked me to be one of the guests on their 100th episode. So I gladly said yes, joined them on their 100th episode. We talked all about the Browns, the college football playoffs, Ohio State just sucking it up to Michigan. And, you know, it was a good time with them. I was probably on there for about 30 minutes, and those guys are such a blast. And, Bri, if you ever get a chance, I'll get you hooked up with them because they are funny as hell. We definitely had a good time together. So congrats to them.
Love them. Love those guys.
Other than that, though, it was low key for me here. It was, there was not much going on in the Thanksgiving household except a lot of turkey and a lot of gravy.
Kind of nice. Do you still have leftovers?
I have a little bit of turkey left over. Everything else pretty much got smashed on Saturday and Sunday. So the only thing we got left is just a little bit of turkey left. So it's not bad. We didn't really have anything like really major. Like we only got like a 14-pound turkey. So it wasn't, between me and the kids going through it with Miracle Whip and white bread, we hit it pretty hard through the weekend. But yeah, we didn't really have much left over.
I got you.
Did you bring back some plates?
Yeah, I mean, it's been just trying to chip away at the leftovers for the last few days here. We still got some, thankfully, it's all good stuff we still got left. We still got some corn pudding, I guess they call it. I don't know what that word. Corn casserole. It's basically like cornbread with niblets of corn in there, but it's not as dry as cornbread. So we got some of that left. I shouted out my aunt's holiday potatoes, so we still got some of those left, thankfully. So little by little, it's probably, I'd say by Thursday it'll all be gone.
All right. Well, got to get it done by then, because after that, that's when it starts to get questionable.
Yeah, 10 days. Good, right?
I forgot who I'm talking to. This is coming from the guy with the separated sub sauce and going, well, you just mix it back together. It's fine. And yeah.
Right, shake it up. Shake it up. You're good.
Oh, man. Yeah. How long has this been in here?
Forgot about that.
Not floating green, so we should be good. Oh,
just gotta shake it up. Everybody knows that.
I know. And you know something? Let's get into college football here just a little bit, so you can do your gloating. Ohio State, they just spanked, or Michigan just spanked Ohio State. It wasn't even like we got down to the point where it was the second half, and I'm like, well, they got within 8 points, and then it was like the Buckeyes just didn't even care anymore. They just laid down and said, "Oh, you want 2 65-yard touchdowns? Here we go."
You think they gave up?
I do.
They're not that soft. You think they're that soft?
Hey, well, what do you call 2 65-yard run touchdowns back to back?
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you stack the line of scrimmage. If Nick Chubb could ever squirm through that first line, there's nobody behind him.
Oh, they still got Ohio State ranked in front of Alabama. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Are you surprised by that?
A little bit, because that loss, they asked me on Lyman Lounge if there's a way that Ohio State kind of gets back into the playoff. Absolutely. And I said with that loss with Michigan, though, if it was a closer game, it might be a different story. But if TCU or USC just finish off running the table, then they're in. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Right. Oh,
doesn't matter what happens. But if one of them lose, then you really got to take a serious look between Ohio State, between Alabama, because Alabama's losses weren't blowouts.
No, and that's why people argue that Alabama should be ahead of Ohio State, because Alabama lost on a last-second field goal and a last-second 2-point conversion. Both games were on the road, whereas Ohio State got blown out at home. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. Neither team has really beat too many great teams. Ohio State beat Penn State and Notre Dame, so they're kind of, middle of the pack teams, or upper middle. Alabama, Mississippi, who else would they beat? Nobody too great.
No. And
So,
especially the way SEC kind of flamed out this year with, Tennessee's being okay. So I'm guessing Tennessee's 7th behind Alabama. But, you sit there, so 1's Georgia, 2 Michigan, 3 TCU, 4 USC, 5 Ohio State. Now, if both TCU and USC lose, then that's a different story. Then you got to have a conversation about all of those, because those guys made it to their conference finals. They're playing again. And TCU, the great magical thing about TCU is the team they're playing, they're already beat. So they're going back to play them again. So if they actually lose, I think they're playing Kansas State, right?
Correct. Yep.
So if Kansas State does beat TCU, TCU goes, well, we beat them already. So it's kind of
that's why I don't know how, I would think TCU is in. If you're going to penalize them for losing a 13th game or 14th game, whatever it is, they finished the regular season undefeated. So you can't punish them for losing their conference championship, I wouldn't think. I think Michigan's in regardless, even if they lose to Purdue. I don't know how you could pull them out, but TCU doesn't have that super impressive win. I guess Kansas State is a pretty good one. So I don't know. Could be chaos if USC loses. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that if USC and TCU lose, that Ohio State's just automatically in. I think there's still a chance that Alabama could jump them, even though they won't play at all.
Yeah, and neither will Ohio State. They're going to be sitting idle, but obviously it's not our choice. It is a committee's choice, and the committee is going to look at it however they want to look at it. And, it just, like I was telling the Lyman Lounge, like if Ohio State lost to Michigan by like a last-second field goal, or just by, let's just say the game finished with them losing by 8 points, might have been a different story where rankings were at, where they standed. But for the end of that game, Brian, when you have 7 minutes left in that game, you're down 8 and you end up losing by 15. Like, it was more than 15, wasn't it? I mean, it ended up being like 19. They lost. Like, it just
45. What was it? 45, 20. I don't know. 23, was it?
Yeah.
Was that it? Was it 22?
No, we had 23.
I don't even remember.
At 31. It was 31 to 23 because we were down 8.
And then Michigan scored a touchdown. I thought Michigan scored in the 40s.
They did. They scored 2 touchdowns.
So 45-23 then? Is that what we're thinking? I don't know. Maybe somebody can look it up on their phone. So you lost by 22 points at home in a game you were favored by 8. So
45.
Not a good look. Okay, thanks. Yeah, not a good look. But if you're going to look at it just based on the resume, Ohio State's has 1 loss in the regular season, and they lost to the number 2 team in the country. I'd say that's a pretty good resume. It's not like you're losing to, a Rutgers or an Indiana, Iowa. Yeah, something like that. So if you're just looking at their resume, I think they have an argument. But these things are weighted, and the game didn't look too great for Ohio State. So who knows? They might squeak in, and that's why I think like 12. Sometimes 12 just seems like too many teams. I mean, the Michigan-Ohio State game this year would pretty much be irrelevant. You'd still be playing for the Big Ten championship, but I don't know. 12. If you go 12 deep this year, are there really 12 teams that are worthy of getting in?
No, so there's not really 12 teams, but to spread the wealth with everybody, you can also say, let's just say USC, if they would have, how can I explain it? USC has actually came on and started playing really good. But
South
trying to
Carolina
think,
has.
well, I mean, are you punishing? Let's put it this way. How about Tennessee? We'll throw Tennessee in the mix here. Are
Right.
you really going to punish Tennessee for having a great season? They beat an Alabama team and then lost to South Carolina, that was a boat race on that one. Jesus.
But the quarterback got hurt.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're looking at that team. Can that team play for a national championship? I think they could. Depending
If
on
they're
who they
healthy.
match up. Yeah,
Sure.
but I mean, it depends on who they match up with. So when you get down to when you get that extra 8, 10, 12 team extra outlier, yeah, there's still going to be always, and it's like the NFL though. You look at, there's always that one team that won home field advantage that went 13-3 or 13-4, whatever the hell it is now. And they won home field advantage. Look at the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans last year won home field advantage, and then they got trounced. It's any given Sunday. But I know what you're saying because of the talent separation with the top teams and let's just say 8 through 12 teams. Let's go top 8 and then 8 below. The talent pool is a little bit different, but you're giving those guys a chance to actually kind of like a Cinderella story. I mean, that's all I can say is you're giving that one team a chance to actually go through, knock off everybody and get a chance to do it instead of just 4 teams out of 130. You're getting a little bit more now. And it kind of adds a little bit of diversity in it too, because I mean, until this year, Alabama's been in it every year. Everybody that's been talking, it's been Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma. It's always been like those, Notre Dame. It hasn't been TCU. It hasn't been Baylor. It hasn't been Penn State made it to 1 year. And it hasn't been those second tier teams that have gotten up there. It's always been the upper echelon. And those teams, as we've shown, like Penn State has beaten Ohio State when they're ranked number 2. Penn State has gone out and beaten Michigan. There's been times that those teams have gone out and won on a Saturday that everybody kind of goes, they're not going to win. They're going to get their doors blown off. And then they win. And at that point in time, it kind of just divides everything, I think. I mean, I love to see it because I think it gives more storylines to other teams.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping, honestly, believe it or not, even though Michigan's made it to the college football playoff last 2 years, I'm kind of hoping for parity because I think it's good for college football. I mean, I'd be all for it if 12 could beat a 1 or 10 could beat a 3 or something like that. Unfortunately, we just haven't seen it in the college football playoffs. When was the last time we had a major upset in the college football playoff? It doesn't seem like it's happened in a while. Like Ohio State against Alabama that 1 year. Yeah, Ohio State got into the 4 seed and Alabama was the 1.
Ohio State, Oregon.
Yeah, you could say that. But I mean, it's still Ohio State, and it's still playing Oregon, so I wouldn't think that would be a huge upset.
Yeah, but they had Marcus Mariota. Oregon just blew the doors off of the team they played before they played Ohio State. I mean, not a little bit. I mean, they won by 45 points.
Yeah, but if you're saying Ohio State is a big upset, I think you're doing a disservice to Ohio State, saying that any team they beat is a big upset, unless I know they're on their 3rd string quarterback, but still, top recruiting class every year. What do you think of that?
What?
Right. So that's what one of my friends texted me. He's like, I'm not surprised that Michigan is doing this to Ohio State because Ohio State is turned into a finesse team. They turn into recruiting all these 5-star receivers, and that's all we talk about. But yet they're getting bullied up front. Do you think that's an issue? Do you think it's just maybe a bad couple years? Do they need to change how they're recruiting? Because, I mean, one of the things that I like personally as a Michigan fan, what's happened the last couple of years is I've heard for the last 10, 15 years, Ohio State fans saying, well, get those SEC teams up here in the north in the cold and we'll show them how real football is played, and we'll just bully the hell out of them. And it's happened to Ohio State the last 2 years. They've been bullied by a more physical team, and they have these stud wide receivers, first rounders, but at the end of the day, if you can't stop the run, then what good are they?
You know what I think the issue is, and this is just me being, I'm an Ohio State homer. There's two glaring issues. One, the offensive line's been a little different the past couple of years. There's not a lot of big names, not a lot of every now and then, we've had offensive linemen go into look at Billy Price, was a center, went in the second round to Cincinnati, or late first round, whatever the hell it was. We've had offensive line, and it seems like we haven't had that many go in the first round lately. So offensive line,
you got one now though. Paris Johnson will be a first rounder.
Well, I get that, but then also with that though, if you look at the way Ohio State, when we're going to the playoffs, were built, they had at least semi-mobile quarterbacks.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
And right now, we had Dwayne Haskins, who was a pocket passer who barely ran. And what pissed me off about a lot of that game with CJ Stroud is I watched him do the RPO, and as soon as he handed it off, everybody in Michigan knew it was going to the running back. He could have pulled it and got 45 yards if he wanted to, and he just never did. And you know what the thing is, though, is he did it the week prior. And that's what pissed me off, because he got a rushing game the week prior where he was pulling it and actually getting down 20, 30 yards downfield. And he just won't pull it and run. And I don't understand why. But then also, Ohio State is playing this, and I understand their wide receivers are, Marvin Harrison Jr. is probably going to be one of the best that go down in Ohio State. He is that good, and I get that. But you also got to factor in, they're playing finesse on the outside. They're trying to beat you with speed on the outside of you guys playing one-on-one outside instead of beating them up in the middle, taking the body shots when you can take the body shots. Because guess what? When it's 3rd and 3, Bri, let's throw a wide receiver screen out there and see what happens. Why not just hand it to your damn running back and get the first down? And I don't think we've had a running back in a very long time that is big enough and bold enough to get us that first down. I thought we had it this year with the meatball and with Henderson. Henderson got hurt. But you saw the success that they had with that backup running back, with the linebacker / running back. And he started hitting a hole, and he started getting 10, 15 yards. And then it's like after that, they throw 4 straight passing. It's like, I don't get some of the play calling. I don't get some of what they're doing right now. And it's aggravating to me as a Buckeye fan watching what they use. It's almost like I compared them to the Browns, Brian. And, you joked around about it. But I remember Urban, Tressel, all those coaches, when it's 3rd and 4, your bread and butter play is that little zone right behind the guard and the tackle, and you're getting 5 yards, and nobody's stopping it. Well, this year, they can't even get 2 yards off of it, and they can't get the running game going to the point where they needed.
Yeah, I think Ohio State has fallen in love with the flash. They like being a flashy team. They like throwing the ball a ton because, that's what's going to get the Heisman talk going and this and that. And, I don't know. You tell me if that's coaching. You said it yourself. Stroud probably should have been running more this whole season. It would have mattered in this game. I don't know. But he should have been running more this season because Ohio State's at its best when they have a running quarterback. So I'm pretty sure he can do it. Maybe it's not Justin Fields or anything like that, but he should run more. That way you make the defense accountable for him and his legs. So I don't know. You tell me, is Ryan Day on the hot seat next year?
No, you can't. He's only had 5 fucking losses. You can't put him on the hot seat with only having 5 losses.
What if he loses to Michigan again next year?
You still got to look at it. I understand what you're talking about, but you're looking
at
that point.
I don't think he would be, but I hear the talk. Obviously, people are upset.
Oh, well, because he wasn't at the time. It was a team handed to him by Urban, and he was an up and coming coach.
He started on third base. That was the quote Harbaugh said.
Mm-hmm. All right, Harbaugh. Yeah, okay.
Kind of true.
Well, I'm not okay. That's perfectly fine. But
I mean, I'm not throwing shade at the guy. I mean, but he was handed a Rolls Royce.
I get you. And guess what? It's spitting and sputtering now. I mean, it's not coming out of the gates fast. It's not finishing the game the way it should be. There's points and times where play calling is, for me, questionable. Would I put him in the hot seat? No, I can't do that because he's only got. It's almost like you're looking at Bob Stoops, and Bob Stoops is probably one of the best examples I can come up with right now. Is Bob Stoops has always had really good teams, but they've always had one or two losses. I'm afraid Ohio State might be at that point now where we're going to have like stellar teams, but we're always going to have that one or second loss that we just can't avoid. And I think it's mostly because I mean, if you look at it, the defense was just, it was big plays. You can't give up big plays. And they gave up six big plays.
Mark me down as somebody who has never understood the hype behind Jim Knowles. How do I even know who the hell Jim Knowles is? Where was he at before? Oklahoma State?
Yeah.
So everyone's throwing bouquets at this guy because he was an Oklahoma State defensive coordinator, and that's supposed to be impressive?
And guess what he's running in the Big Ten? 4-2-5. We already had this talk. We already had this talk about Rich Rod running a 3-3, bullshit that he did. Like,
doesn't work. I mean, the Big 12 is notorious for not playing defense. So I don't know. Yeah, it just blew my mind that Jim Knowles. Hey, we got Jim Knowles. Like, who is this guy and why is he such a big deal? So, yeah, I mean, we talked last week about SEC versus Big Ten.
I don't remember Big 12 being known for defense. Neither do I.
No, heck no. They're notorious for being like the worst conference defensively. Texas and Oklahoma having 50 to 45 shootouts. But SEC versus Big Ten last week, we got into that a little bit. I think, look out. I think the next 3-4 years, I think the Big Ten is going to come on strong. You saw what they did this past weekend with Fickle going to Wisconsin, with Matt Rule going to Nebraska. You're going to add Lincoln Riley. You're going to add Chip Kelly. I know
you still got Texas. PJ Fleck up in Minnesota. You still got you still got really good coaches all through, and
still got Penn State. Still got Mel Tucker making $100 million or whatever. So I mean, the Big Ten's only going to get more difficult. I think maybe there's 1 or 2 more years where Ohio State and Michigan can kind of do their thing and enter this game both undefeated, but I think those days are kind of few and far between.
Yeah. Well, bro, we just spent a half hour talking about Ohio State, Michigan.
Good, and we haven't even got to our trivia yet.
I know, and it's your turn, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get into trivia time, and then we will talk about some Cleveland headlines. Let me get our trivia sounder going. All right, big fella, hit me with that sweet trivia.
Well, as you know, it was a great weekend for me. I'm going to make this about me because it doesn't happen very often. So, Michigan beating Ohio State, that set the table for a nice Browns win. So, I was flying high as a fan this weekend. So, my question to you is, when was the last time that happened? In the same weekend. When was the last time Michigan beat Ohio State and the Browns got a win in the same weekend? You'll see why I'm so freaking upset on Sundays in the fall. Especially towards the end of November.
All right. I think I got it. I think I got it. But we'll... All right, so we got Cleveland headlines right about now, and All right, Bri. So your Cleveland headlines this week. You can definitely still see the tire tracks left in the field from the guy doing donuts in the middle of First Energy Stadium. We had a skunk loose on the premises.
Going back to when you told me that last week, I had no idea what was going on. I didn't hear about it. You were the first one to tell me. I thought you were talking about at the practice facility. That's why I was
No,
asking. Like, was the team on the field at the time? No, at the stadium. How the hell can you break into the stadium?
well, we've had a possum and a skunk do it in the past couple years, so
Yeah. And nobody got sprayed, huh?
nobody got sprayed, I guess, which is kind of shocking.
Wow.
I'm going to
Yeah,
see that.
right.
Cleveland has been announced by the MLS. We are getting a soccer team back into Cleveland. I don't know when that is going to happen. Your Cavaliers are still kind of up and down with a couple people injured here and there. And the bigger news that came out probably, I don't know, about halfway through the day today. Your Deshaun Watson is coming back this week. He will be playing in Houston. And from a certain lawyer that is going against him, a lot of other people are going to be in Houston. Also, I guess there is about 13 to 14 accusers actually going to the game. And it's going to be a crap show, Bri. So no matter what happens, it's going to be a football game, but it's going to be something else also. So just get prepared for it. There's going to be a lot of news about it. And, for us, we have to deal with it because it's the situation we are in now as he is our quarterback. But, Bri, what do you think about everything that's going on? What about the skunk on the field, your Cavaliers, and the accusers showing up at the game in Houston?
I guess we'll start with the Cavs. They still have a lot of growing to do. They're not quite there yet. I was kind of keeping tabs on their game against the Bucks, and when I saw it first, they were up, I don't know, 10, 12, like in the beginning of the third quarter, around halftime. And then I find out that they lose by like 15 or 17. So that's where you need to be. That's the beast on top of the mountain that you got to take down. So until we can get there, they still got some work left to do. So that's a little concerning, but at the same time, we don't have, I don't know about you, but I don't have championship aspirations at this point for this year. But it's nice to have that barometer to see where we need to be. And, we know having a dominant NBA player can take your team a long way, and that's what the Bucks have right now. So, yep, that's my thoughts on the Cavs this week. I guess it's going to be a circus down in Houston. I don't know what to expect. I think the Browns would be wise to kind of try to ease Deshaun Watson into it as best they can on the football field, and understand that he's going to be, his mind is going to be going 1,000 miles a minute, like it kind of was in Jacksonville, and that was just a preseason game, and he didn't play very well. So I think they can win, just leaning on their defense and their run game. So take it out of his hands a little bit, let him kind of dip his toes in the water early on, and he's going to be concentrating on a lot of other things at the beginning of the game. So you got to get him focused on football as best you can.
So how many times are we going to get a certain mammal? I think somebody just shows up and just drops them off their First Energy Stadium, and then they just walk in on their own. Like next time, I'm expecting to see like a llama just walking around through the stands. Like
that'd be cooler than a skunk.
All right, Brian. Let's get into the meat and potatoes because we really do. The Cleveland Browns came out and in an overtime thriller beat up on Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. Now, Bri had the most glowing stat I have seen in a very long time. And I love this stat because it involves Cleveland and how much I hate Tom Brady. So,
can you imagine if it's the one I'm thinking of? It's unbelievable.
Tom Brady, when leading by 7 points in the fourth quarter, is 218-0. His first loss came this Sunday to the Cleveland Browns
That's
in
insane.
Cleveland. Crazy,
Crazy.
right?
So if he goes up 7 points, game over in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Yeah,
Just,
that doesn't even sound right.
just instead of we win, we should bring an animal to every game.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I'm pretty sure it helped in the possum game, too.
Whoever's going to Houston, grab a rattlesnake, take that thing in there. Oh, my Lord. That's awesome. No, the Browns came back in overtime. It was a gutsy battle. Brian, it was finally nice to see our defense actually try to show up and try to do something. It was nice to see Nick Chubb get 26 carries. It was nice to see at Jacoby Brissett's last game, him leading Anthony Schwartz down the field and throwing a block on a safety. It was nice to see that the guys that we pay to make the big plays when the time counts came out and did that. Myles Garrett, David Njoku. And the other thing that's shocking to me, for the long time, this entire draft process that we had last year, Bri, and picking a cornerback in the third round that didn't know anything about, I'm going, why? We already have too many cornerbacks to begin with. And for him to play the way he did and shut down Mike Evans, just unreal. Unreal what this rookie is doing. And, you know, some of that guy he's playing for us because he'll take on any challenge. So, Brian, why don't you give me your thoughts on the game and how you enjoyed this overtime thriller?
I tip my cap to the defense because the defense really kept you in this game. They kept it close. It wasn't always pretty. You know, some people might say the Buccaneers were too pass happy, knowing that the Browns give up so many yards on the ground. But your defense kept you in this game. They had countless, maybe 4, 5, 6 3-and-outs against Tom Brady, which you know, it's nothing to scoff at. That's pretty impressive that they stayed fresh that way and they just completely had a stranglehold on their offense. So tip my cap to them. The offense, hey, we got the win. It was more of the same there for the entire game. You know, we've seen it for the last 3 weeks, and it was the exact same story this week. It was score in the first drive, do absolutely nothing for the rest of the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, and a lot of the fourth quarter, and then score at the end of the game. This time it wasn't garbage time though, so you give them credit, and yeah, it makes you happy that that we're able to pivot to a hopefully a more talented quarterback, because like I said last week, the defenses in the NFL have figured out this Browns offense, and for whatever reason, we're really good on the first drive. I still don't. Maybe they must just hammer home those first like 15 or 20 plays. So it's like, you know, the back of their hand, and Jacoby Brissett knows all the reads. But you know that Schwartz reverse, that was a thing of beauty. And you know, if Anthony Schwartz can't catch the ball, you got to find other ways to use him. And kudos to Stefanski and Van Pelt for doing that. But yeah, it was hard to watch through the middle of the game. And then, you know, the fireworks at the end of the game was something very, very nice. But, you know, just the realist in me says you needed a lot of things to go right at the end of the game there for you to come away with this win. But a win's a win. You're 4-7. You never have to apologize for a win. And you're hopeful that this offense can get it turned around this week, and the defense can continue what they're doing. And you know, what a more perfect team to play than the Houston Texans, and you know, get the confidence up, but still stay hungry, because you can't look past this game because they will beat you.
All right, so here are some questions from I'll call them the cheap seats. Question. Has Brissett played well enough to earn a starting position somewhere else? I believe so. I mean, you know what he is. He's going to be that journeyman that's going to be in the middle and he'll be a gap player for somebody. Whether somebody A gets hurt or they drafted somebody that they don't, or we might even keep him as a backup for Deshaun, knowing how good he is, because we released Dobbs to make room for Deshaun. You know something, Bri, I was expecting a different kind of quarterback when Jacoby Brissett was coming here. And the way that he handled this position, knowing what it was, knowing that he was only coming in here for 11 games and that's it, and doing the job that he did, and actually, Bri, dare I say it, played up above expectations for him.
What grade would you give Jacoby?
With the situation, with everything else that's going on, and with the defense not playing that great, I'd give Jacoby a B+ this year.
That's exactly what I would give him. Yep.
I mean, he had his moments where they've been really bad, but when he's needed to like calm down this team and control this team, Brian, we really have. There's only been 2 games that we've really been out of, like completely out of. Any other game, we've still been right there. And it's just, like I told you, it's just the little plays that just, the brain farts, the trying to push too much instead of taking what's in front of you, the play calling, the defense blowing stuff. Like we could be, you and I joked around about 6-5 and 5-6. You know something, after 11 games, and you look in the way this team has played, especially the defense not up to its potential, special teams has been kind of shaky, but the steady hand has always been the offense, which is shocking as shit to me with a backup quarterback. I would have said we would have been like 3-8, but 4-7, and still, that's why I named the just when you think it's over, the Browns always pull you back in somehow. And I don't know how they do it. I don't know why they do it. But yeah, Brissett, he played well enough for me that he deserves a job somewhere else if somebody wants to give him that job. But if he doesn't get another job, I'd still love him back here in Cleveland. He was so great for this team, great for the culture. I mean, just a genuine dude, and awesome to have him here.
Yeah, I would absolutely take him back next year. I mean, he might cost a little bit of money, so I don't know if financially we'd be able to do it, but I'd sign up for him. He deserves to be, at least at very minimum, a bridge quarterback for a team that drafts a young guy. Let him start for half the year. And honestly, I would be interested to watch him and just see his tendencies, because again, this past week, I just don't know if it's Brissett or if it's play calling or what, but I wrote it down, I think 3 times, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. Rather than just getting the first down and going to the middle of the field, he's just throwing these 50-50 balls down the sidelines. So is that Brissett doing that, or is that the coaches telling him, hey, if you see this look, go for it?
Bri, I honestly, so the reason why I say I think it's the coaching is because I don't know if you remember watching the Ohio State with Cardell Jones and how they schemed up the plan for him. Is if they're going to lose anything, it's going to be on the outside. They don't want to take a chance in the middle, because the chance outside, maybe it's just an incomplete pass. You start flirting around with the middle of the field, that's when interceptions, tip balls, all that other shit starts to happen. I think what they're trying to do is get Brissett comfortable, trust their wide receivers to go one-on-one on the outside, and try not to clutter up the inside of the middle, because that's where bad things happen. And especially for a backup quarterback, you don't want him to start throwing in the middle and bad things happening. I think they game planned him for staying on the outside of the numbers and staying out there next to the sidelines in case he needs to throw it away, or it doesn't have to be a perfect pass, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you throw one up there, it doesn't have to be a perfect pass, but it could be just something to loosen something up in the middle.
So he does have his limitations, and the reason I would give him a B+ along with you is because he's a backup. We're not grading him like he's a starter. If he was the starter, his grade might be down around a C or something like that. So yes, he doesn't turn the ball over, and that's why I think a big reason why we wanted him in here, because he's not going to lose the games for you like Baker lost the games for you last year. And if he had the defense that Baker had at the end of last year, we could be easily 6-5. No doubt about it. If he's just not turning the ball over and the offense stays the exact same, it's not out of the realm of possibility to think you're 6-5. So
Brian,
that's why I think he played well enough.
But Brian, we did have the same defenses last year, minus like 2 people.
Well, I mean, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's injuries or what it is, but the defense surely looks a lot different than it did at the end of last year. Maybe motivation, maybe, yeah. I don't know what it is. I'm not gonna try to guess that, but yeah. Now we have a quarterback, and let's not freak out because Jacoby Brissett did not turn the ball over hardly at all, other than the end of the game or end of the half Hail Mary. Deshaun Watson's going to turn the ball over, throw more interceptions than what Jacoby Brissett did. It's just going to happen. Especially rust, you can call it rust, whatever. I think it's more Deshaun Watson can do more than Jacoby Brissett can. So he's going to take more chances than Brissett did. And because of that, he's going to throw more picks. But he's also going to make more plays down the field. So let's try not to freak out when Deshaun Watson might throw 2 interceptions and say, "Oh, Jacoby Brissett only threw, what was it, 4 all year, or 5 all year, or something like that." So you take the good with the bad in that situation, and understand that he's trying to make a play, and just having him out there is going to help your running game as well. And Jacoby Brissett did some great things on the ground with his legs, and Watson is a lot more athletic than what Brissett is. So there's plays to be made out there. It's going to be exciting. You just hope the team remains focused and hope that Watson can shake the rust off as quickly as possible.
All right, so Brian, we have 2 questions that I am going to bring up to you after we do our Big O, Big D, and Just Not My Day Player of the Week. All right.
Okay.
So let's get into your Big O Player of the Week, big fella.
You referenced my Big O and my Big D Player of the Week earlier, and it's the guys are paying money to, but not because they're making a ton of money, because they make game-winning plays when it counts. And clearly, there was no bigger game-winning play of the season than David Njoku did. That catch was unbelievable. People are talking about it as one of the greatest catches in Cleveland Brown history. And giving what was on the line, 4th down, to tie the ball game up, it's hard to argue that. It was just an unbelievable individual effort on his part. And he made play after play, and didn't really do much as far as the stat book go, but that one catch, that's all it took for me.
And my Big O Player of the Week, and Jacoby Brissett, thank you for being a part of this team, part of this culture, doing what you had to do for this team to get them to 4-7. I know it could have been better. It could have been a lot worse too. But for the way you played outstanding for us, and we thank you so much as Browns fans. But my Big O Player of the Week, Mari Cooper. He had that one huge drop there at the end of the 4th quarter. I mean, it was in his hands. He just dropped it. And then he made the biggest play there at the end, wide open down the lane. Jacoby hit him. And then at that point in time, that was it. Game over. You knew it right then. Down at the 3-yard line, 1st down. Somebody's punching it in, whether it be Hunt or Chubb. And just that catch right there. Plus, I think he had over 100 yards. My Big D Player of the Week, Bri, is MJ Emerson. That kid had one hell of a game. Tom Brady went after him a lot with Mike Evans, a lot of 50-50 balls, picking on the rookie as they always do, and he held his ground. He really did hold his ground. Now, granted, the other side, Godwin had 12 catches for like 160 yards. Don't know who was covering that guy, but I'm pretty sure I know who it was. But for MJ Emerson to come out there, especially with people being hurt, greedy, I think Newsom wasn't doing so great either.
Mm-mm.
coming out and doing his job as a rookie and actually been doing your job all year. Amazing thing. Brian, what about your big D of the week?
Is Emerson our best cornerback right now?
It's looking that way, bud.
I agree. Yeah. I can't explain why. Maybe injuries have something to do with it. But he's hungry, and he wanted to take on Mike Evans. He wanted that challenge. So we might have found him. Could be Andrew Berry's best draft pick in the third round. I mean, obviously we thought Greg Newsome was really good last year, and then we're seeing he's struggling a little more this year. So can't officially call it that, but yeah, kudos to him for playing. I'm going Myles Garrett, making those game-winning plays. Like I said with Njoku,
It's about time.
Oh sure, yeah. I mean, but he took over that game, and at a certain point, I was like, geez, I think we were down 7, and it was the fourth quarter, and he got a sack on a third down. I'm like, honestly, what I'm thinking is, Myles, it's too little, too late. I understand you're making great plays. I love that you're still in this, but the offense has shown that they can't score. And I was almost ready to give up because I didn't think the offense could go down and tie it up, but they did. He made plays. I think he had 3 sacks maybe, and for all of them in fourth quarter and overtime. He was a beast, and that's the type of performance we need. So for him to be Defensive Player of the Year, we see it from T.J. Watt. We've seen it from J.J. Watt and Aaron Donald. Now we've seen it from Myles Garrett. We need to see it again.
All right. And not your day. Just not your day. Player of the week, Brian.
I'm giving it to the entire defense. I've praised them here, but one thing that's glaring that, once again, we're talking about them not doing, and that's getting a turnover. I don't know how many games in a row it's been since we've had a turnover, but one freaking turnover, we can't even do that. It's got to fall on somebody. Somebody's got to be out there making plays. I know, Garrett's had a strip sack or 2 this year, but we've got to be at the bottom of the league of interceptions, and it's hard to watch. I can't explain it because I don't know the X's and O's well enough, but there's got to be something that they're not doing to get interceptions, and be better. We're going to need interceptions from Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and Kenny Pickett. They're going to give it to you down the stretch. You got to be there to make plays.
All right, Brian. Mine is Cade York. Granted, you kicked a 51-yarder, but you had like a 37-yarder that you duck hooked into the fucking pond off to the left. But you got to get yourself right. This sporadic stuff is scaring the hell out of me right now. Whether you're kicking right down the middle or every now and then he pulls out one of those. And I got to tell myself, he's a rookie, give him time. He's a rookie, give him time. And it scares me for saying that. And the reason why is because I sit there and I start laughing because Greg Joseph is still in the league, who is a kicker for us. That we're like, get him out here. You can't make a damn thing. He's still in the league. We have the kid that we drafted with Dorsey. I think is still in the league too, isn't he, for Arizona?
Gonzalez, I think so.
So we got 2 guys that were here that we were like, get him out here.
McLaughlin.
McLaughlin. Yeah. Oh my God.
Guy from last year. He's with Indy. Yeah. He was a pretty good kicker, I thought.
So like I think we have been bitten by the Phil Dawson, who are not missing anything, and also having Justin Tucker in our division, that it's kind of like we need and it's just not the NFL today. Unless you're Justin Tucker, you're not 100%, but you need to be close to it. And I need him just to tighten it up a little bit. Chris said the laces were out, or laces were in. Laces were in, Dan. All right, so here's
somebody said he slipped. I have to believe he slipped on that because I don't think any professional kicker could miss it that badly without and if you look at where it ended up, you would think, yeah, he must have slipped or something like that. I will say, I mentioned in the past couple of weeks that it seems like he's got that low trajectory. His 51-yarder, it seemed like it got up in a hurry. I know he kind of barely made it, but hopefully they're working with him.
Well, that and that one that you're talking about, I think he was trying to kick it to West 6th Street, way he was aiming. Like that thing that wasn't even close to like just the end zone. It was over towards
It was the net.
It missed a lot of things.
Yeah, all right, I can't imagine he's that bad.
The questions that we got, Chris chimed in and said, are these 6 games a tryout for Stefanski, or does he get one more year? And it's all because of Deshaun Watson. And I will answer this, and I'll be completely 100% behind this. Stefanski, no matter what happens this year, is getting one more year. I think the Haslams have finally got to the point now that they weren't expecting the suspension being this long. You can't hold that over Stefanski's head with a backup quarterback, trying to get him to win above 500 football to begin with. And your offense has been playing absolutely stellar. Like, we're top 13 offense in the NFL. So at that point in time, you can't really put this on Stefanski. Now, I think it's going to take this 6 games is for Stefanski and Watson to figure their shit out before next year. And if next year starts to go bad, Stefanski's gone. But I don't think that'll be the case. Now, on the other hand, Woods, I believe, will be fired at the end of the year. I think they will be looking for a new defensive coordinator. Other than that, I think that's the only major move that they make this offseason. But yeah, I mean, what do you think, Bri?
Yeah, I've kind of said in the past that I think that there must be some sort of agreement that, hey, this year is going to be a mess, and let's just kind of get through it, do our best job. I think maybe there's a teeny tiny chance that he gets fired, but things would have to go terribly wrong for Stefanski to hit the streets at the end of this year. So I think they're willing to give him, an off season, a normal year next year, and grade him on that, because he finally has his quarterback. He's got the offense, he's got his wide receiver, he's got his tight end, he's got his offensive line, running backs, whatever. At this point, you can't ask for anything more. So if he can't do it next year, I'm sure we'll talk between now and then. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him. As far as Joe Woods goes, I don't know. I go week to week, it seems. It's a roller coaster ride with him. And knowing that Stefanski is a loyal guy and he doesn't like to make changes. Last week I was certain that he was getting fired. Might as well do it now. This week, I don't know. I could talk myself into Stefanski making a case for bringing him back. And, again, Stefanski and Barry are lockstep with one another. They agree on everything. Like I kind of hinted at last week with other decisions, it's going to have to come from the top. It's going to have to come from Haslam or one of his right-hand men coming down and saying, hey, you got to get rid of this guy. I know he's your guy, but he's just not cutting it.
And I think the reason why, like, you're on the fence because of the roller coaster, that's why I'm on the other side of the fence with roller coaster. Stefanski wants stability. All right. His offense has got to be stable. Everything else, the way that this organization is supposed to be run through Dee Podesta and Barry and everybody else, is a stable organization. This roller coaster of one good game, one bad game like this doesn't fly with them. They want to be right in the middle, if not better than where they're at. You cannot go out and throw a complete goose egg and then come back and play, let's just say, above average against Tom Brady. They weren't great, but they were good enough to beat Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Like, it was, I don't know how to explain it. This defense has just been weird this year. It's been so weird, so just back asswards.
If I could make a case right now, currently, for Joe Woods keeping his job, not knowing what's, I think you might be able to, just saying, like, listen, the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills, they're juggernauts. They're top 3, top 5 offenses in this league, and they score on everybody. Look at the other games the last month and a half. You know, the Bucks, pretty good offense. The Bengals, pretty good offense, and the Ravens, pretty good offense with 3 pretty good quarterbacks. And you kind of, I don't want to say you shut them down, but you had maybe above average efforts against them. You know, just imagine if you got a turnover or two, it'd really be swing things in his favor.
I get what you're saying, but throw in the Jets game. Like
Yeah.
at that point in time, like that's where it's like, yeah, you did really good there, but you had a 14-point lead against the Jets and you lost it. Like it's those things. Like it's like
that's why it's maddening. There's no, I still am on, you know, not knowing what's coming in the next month and a half. I'm still on, hey, we need to do better. We need, like you said, we need stability. We need, you know, more consistent effort.
Bri is pro Joe Woods. Fatty is no Joe Woods. Is where we're at here on this.
No, I used to be pro Joe Woods, but I'm not. I haven't swung back to pro Joe Woods yet. I'm still on the get rid of him coaster.
Well, where Bri is at right now, and this is a wonderful term that we use at work. Bri is in between a fart right now, whether it be a fart that he poops his pants or it's just gas, and he's just holding it in right now just to see which one it is.
Still holding. I reserve right to get rid of him. Haven't made up my mind yet.
We got to get our 3 takeaways versus Browns versus Houston, Bri, and we got to do our score predict, okay? So let's do our score predict last, but do you want me to go first with the 3 big takeaways to beat Houston?
That's fine.
All right, I will go first. Number 3, Deshaun, try not to be Superman. It has been almost 3 years since you have played football. Take the game as it comes to you. Take what is in front of you. You have a very talented team with very talented running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers. Just take what's there for the first game and get through it. Number 2, Coach Stefanski. Just because he is back, he is not a fucking Ferrari. Do not bring him back into this thinking that he is going to sling it 53 times and be the Pro Bowler that he was the year that he was with Houston. He is not going to be that starting out. Ease him into the game. And my number 1, Bri, Nick Chubb. Feed him the ball. He rushed for 26 yards, over 100 again last week. And guess what? Kept that score low, kept you in the game. Nick Chubb is the best player on this offense right now, and he deserves the ball in his hands any chance he gets, whether it be running or passing, because it looks like he can catch the ball too.
So my number 1 would be, and it's kind of been the case for the last, I don't know, a long time. It seems we haven't been able to stop the run. And Houston Texans are a team that I don't believe they can beat you if you stop the run, unless they get just a ton of turnovers or something. So Dameon Pierce, you know, could be potentially the rookie of the year. And he's struggled the last couple of weeks because teams have kind of figured them out a little bit and just take him away. And they've gone from Davis Mills to Kyle Allen. Neither one of those guys are really great at quarterback. But you want the ball in their hands. So take Dameon Pierce away, stop those guys, and I think your defense can have success. Number 2, just don't turn the ball over. Win the turnover battle, because I think that's the only way you give them hope is if they can get a couple picks or put the ball on the ground in special teams or the run game. So win the turnover battle. I know even if it's a 0-0, neither team gets a turnover. I'll take that. At number 3, I think you treat Deshaun Watson like he's a backup quarterback. You give him easy throws. screens or quick outs or something like that. Treat him, have the same similar game plan to Jacoby Brissett, so he can make throws where he's not forcing it too much, because that's when we can get in trouble. So get him comfortable out there, maybe get him out of the pocket, which is something that they haven't done much with Jacoby, and they used to do a lot with Baker. A lot of play action. I think the teams are going to be reluctant to stack the box against you now with Watson back there. But it's going to be an emotional environment, so he's got to keep his cool. He's got to take what the defense gives him and not turn it over.
All right, Brian, what were our scores from last week?
I might have to look. Mine was 19-13 Tampa, so I lost. I think you had a shootout. I think you had Tampa in a shootout. What do you remember?
I think it was like 31-10. I think I had Tampa blowing them out.
Okay, so neither one of us won.
No, but that's okay, because we're about to have some fun now, because we actually have Deshaun Watson back. So, Brian, I will go first on this pick. I think the offense is going to be a little sluggish, a little sloppy starting out, but I think they finally start to find their groove at about the third quarter. And I pick your Cleveland Browns to win 28-23 over the Houston Texans.
Okay. 28-23. So you have Houston covering because the spread is 7. Yeah, we're both along the same lines, in our optimism for the Browns. I think it's a very conservative game plan. And I think just Watson's presence and, maybe in a weird way, this crazy environment kind of galvanizes the team and gives the defense a jolt. And they play like us against the world mentality. So I think it's a conservative offensive game plan. I think the defense steps it up. And I got 23 for the Browns, and I got 13 for Houston. So I got them covering.
Let's put it this way. Justin put down 42-12 Houston. Just on that bandwagon. And now that my mom is watching, Bri, it is time for the Tater draft and time for our favorite part of the show, Fat Boy Tuesday.
And now it's time for Fat Boy Tuesday.
All right, big fella, it is a tater draft night. Now, the reason why I brought this up, Thanksgiving, you got sweet taters, you got mashed taters, you got cheesy taters, you got all sorts of taters. But, Bri, I want to know your top 5 taters. All right? Whether it be chip style, French fries,
I forgot about that.
tots, whatever it should be, I want your top 5. And you and I will go back and forth, starting at 5 to 1. Okay?
I got a question for you. So,
yes, sir.
Are we breaking it down to their simplest form? Like, is cheesy hash brown potato casserole something I can draft, or is that just hash browns?
No. You could do that one. As long as it's specific.
Okay, so it's a dish. It doesn't have to be just the potato.
No.
It could be,
so these are all potatoes. It doesn't matter how you
loaded fries.
You could do loaded fries. You could do tater tots with everything on them. You could do the Fiesta nachos or with the Fiesta potatoes, whatever. However you see potatoes being made, your top 5 potato dishes.
All right.
And Bri, for me, I will start first.
Yep.
And I will start with a great old-fashioned number 5, a loaded baked potato.
All right, that was on my list.
Well, it doesn't matter. You can still say it.
Oh, it's a draft, I thought.
Well, okay. So my number 5 is loaded
I'll
baked.
take it off the board.
All right.
Yep.
So give me your number 5.
Oh. So, like, my number 1, what is this, a top 5, or are we doing a draft?
We're doing like a top 5 kind of thing, but we're starting with 5 and going up to our number 1 tater.
Oh, gotcha. I might need you to just go first. I had a big board here of So
Okay.
5. So loaded baked potatoes, your 5th best one.
My 5th best one.
Okay, yeah. You do your top 5, and then I'll do my top 5.
Okay.
Let me think about it.
My number 4, tots. You can't go wrong with tots. All right. Number 3.
Okay.
Now, my mom is the only one that makes this. She has made the board at number 3. Her butter and garlic parsley potatoes.
I like it.
Okay. Now, Brian, I'll explain what those are. She gets the whole potato, like the canned whole potatoes you get from GFS, adds in a couple sticks of butter, some fresh garlic, parsley on top of them, and then throws them in the oven to heat them up. Come out delicious.
Sound
My
awesome.
number 2, Bri, is au gratin potatoes. I am a huge fan of au gratin potatoes because I put ketchup on them because I'm a monster like that.
Right.
And my number 1, and I cannot do it myself. I have tried. I have not found a restaurant that can do it. I've been to many diners that I think could do it. My grandmother would make home fries in her cast iron skillet. Just fried potatoes in a cast iron skillet, Bri, and I can't find anybody that comes close. So just think of a potato sliced very thin, fried in a cast iron skillet that comes out looking like the shredded hash browns.
That sounds delicious.
And I can't do it. I don't know why I can't do it. I've tried many different ways of doing it, and I just can't figure it out. But those were my favorite things. Like I started thinking, the reason why I started thinking about it is I cooked breakfast for the kids on Friday and stuff. And I'm looking at all the mashed potatoes, the sweet potatoes we had. And here's my dad. My dad has chimed in. Sweet taters, sweet taters, and yams. Justin chimed in. Fries, wedges, potato cakes, hash browns, Conn's potato chips, number 1.
Okay.
All right, so we got some good stuff going on here. Brian, why don't you give me your top 5?
I was specific here. So we're starting with barbecue potato chips is my number 5. We're moving to 4. You mentioned putting ketchup on potatoes, and absolutely any potato you can really put ketchup on. But when I think of it, in college,
you're a monster.
In college, and they weren't even real mashed potatoes. They're like the flakes. You do what you got to do. That was a meal. That was a meal. Flake potatoes, and I don't even know if you call them potatoes. But so back to my list. Number 4, you mentioned home fries. My wife makes mean home fries. Slather them ketchup. On the weekends, I have those. That's my number 4. My number 3, garlic Parmesan French fries, which I can't even think of a place that has them, but it seems like whenever they're offered, I get those, or the Cajun French fries are really good too. So that's 3. Oh yeah, Five Guys, right?
Five Guys.
Does Brown Bag Burger have them?
Brown Bag Burger has closed permanently.
Get out of here, really?
I'm telling you, my heart has sunk. I wanted to go there this Sunday with the kids for lunch, and it said permanently closed. My heart has been broken. My favorite burger joint is gone.
So you're going to have to try. I haven't had them, but that always sounds good. Right in that area. What's the mall there? Great Northern?
Yeah.
There's a place called Burger Guys. You try that. If you're looking for... Have you had it?
I have not had it. I've heard of it.
Okay. Yeah, in the mall. Try it out. They got the ice cream there. So I've never eaten there, but I've been there several times. So let me know how that is. Back to my list. I'm going... I guess it doesn't have to be Arby's curly fries, but any seasoned curly fry. Yeah, I know. Back-to-back French fries. So what?
It's all right. It's all right.
And number 1 is cheese and potato casserole. That'll always be my number 1. And I do it with. So we've converted. We used to do it with the chunks, the potato chunks. Now we do like the shredded hash brown potatoes. I kind of like those better. But the
Nice.
cubed ones are fine too. I'll eat that. I'm not that picky.
So before we move on, what is your top fast food French fry?
I'd probably give it to, I don't know, Arby's or Rallies. I don't get Rallies very often, so whenever I do, it seems like those are really good.
I'm going to go Rallies. Honorable mention Wendy's. They have stepped up their fry game, Brian.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, Brian.
Even the crinkle cut fries at Arby's, I like those too. And I'm not a big crinkle guy.
Neither am I. I like the seasoned potatoes like you do.
Yep.
All right, big fella. It is time for our top 3. Then we'll end out the trivia and we'll get out of here. All right. So top 3 TV shows that you are into right now. I will go first. My number 3 is Pennyworth. It is on HBO Max. It is about Alfred, Batman's Alfred, before he became So it's like all of the stuff that Alfred did beforehand. Number 2 for us is Ghost. It is a show on CBS. Really funny. One person can actually see ghosts, the other person can't. Love that show.
I've seen that. Yeah, that's funny.
My number 1, and my wife actually got me on it. F is for Family, and it is on Netflix. And it is a cartoon show that takes back in the 70s, like back in our heyday when we're growing up and our parents were yelling at us that we were a bunch of babies, those days. I'd never laughed so hard watching this show, Bri. Like the dad is just excited to get a color TV. The color TV breaks. He starts cussing at everybody. It is an adult show. It's an adult show, but it is absolutely hilarious. And I think you should watch it with the wifey because I think you'll laugh at it a little bit too.
We just lost our Netflix subscription, and by lost I mean we got a new TV, and the friends who were signed into our old one that we were using, they're no longer signed into the new one, so we need their password and haven't gotten it yet. So I'll have to get that.
My old man said the next time I am at home, he'll take me to April's Diner for their home fries. It's close to Grandma's.
Okay.
Grandma's. It's
Have you
very
ever been?
close. Oh, yeah. I love that place.
April's Diner?
It's like a little hole-in-the-wall diner, but, man, their breakfast is like the best breakfast around.
Those are the best. Absolutely.
I know. And they have fresh pies there. And, of course, I can't leave there with my dad without getting like 1 or 2 pies before we leave.
What are the good pies there?
They do all sorts. They do the country apple, they do a Dutch apple, they do strawberry, they do peach, they do chocolate silk, they do where are the other ones? Black raspberry, cherry. They have fresh pumpkin, they have fresh pies every day there. You just go in.
Nice.
You can either get a slice or you take the whole pie.
Sounds like a great place. Reminds me of a place down in Ashland called Linway. They got phenomenal pies. Okay, I guess I'm going to let you know going into this top 3. This is probably the worst top 3 I've ever done. It's very pathetic. And
it's okay.
Might not even count. Okay, so my number 3, I haven't even watched 1 episode of it. I want to. We just haven't gotten around to it.
Okay, well, that's what the shows that you're into right now. That's what we're kind of you're into right now.
It's called Monarch. I can't even remember why I'm into it. I think it has something to do with country music or producers or something like that. So my wife and I have been meaning to watch it. We just haven't. My number 2, we've only seen 1 season because that's all they have on Netflix, and it's Yellowstone. I know I'm way years behind everyone else because I've finished season 1. I don't even know if we finished season 1. We're like halfway through season 1 or something. So, yeah, I told you it's a sad list.
It's all right. No. Yellowstone is absolutely amazing. We're getting ready to embark on our latest season that has come up. We're recording it so we can kind of binge watch it. Yep.
That's kind of what we've been doing. And then my number 1, I I don't know what else to say. Football. My number one TV show is football. I mean, it's my number one TV show every single year. I mean, 90% of what I watch is reruns, football, and sports talk radio shows. So outside of that, I don't watch much else. So I apologize to the listeners. It's a pretty sad list for me.
All right. So the trivia that you brought up to me today was, when was the last time Michigan football and Cleveland football won in the same weekend, correct?
Last time Michigan beat Ohio State,
Beat
and
Ohio
the Browns
State.
won that same weekend.
I'm going to go 1997. But
Good guess.
No, it's actually before that because they weren't even in town 97. 95.
Keep going back.
89.
A little too far. 1991.
Oh, boy.
Can you believe it? So you can understand this was a historic weekend for me.
Yeah.
Last time it happened, I was 6 years old or 7 years old. So, yeah, Michigan beat Ohio State 31-3 in 91, and the Browns beat Kansas City Chiefs 20-15.
No, geez.
So those are some good times.
Well, everybody, thank you guys so much for watching the show. Brian, I appreciate it. Please go give us a like, subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, all that fun stuff. We're definitely here at the end because Fatty has got to get out of the seat for a second. So, Bri, God bless him.
God bless it. God bless America.
We want to thank our troops and first responders for everything you do. If you want to be part of the Lake Erie APA, please go to myself, Harold Keel, or Brian, and we will get you there. And like I say at the end of every show that we have, we are definitely uncorked, unloaded, and we're out. Thank you guys for watching.